So I went ahead and took the tire off, and also the 32 millimeter axle nut. It'd come off fairly easy since I had it off once before, but I don't know if you can see in there very well or not, but trust me, it's rusted in. So whenever you deal with a spline, put anti-seize on it. You won't regret it. Same thing with any of these bolts in here, places like that. Put some anti-seize on the threads. The next order of business is to drain the transmission fluid. You got a plug up in there, 8 millimeter Allen, so you need the regular 90-degree type Allen wrench. There you can see the gear oil coming out there. Eight millimeter hex Allen plug there, and you got to have your 90-degree wrench to do it, at least to get this one out. You can use a socket type on the fill plugs on the front here. Back up a little. I took it out because I'm running the 7590 synthetic. This what is it, MTX 75 5-speed transmission. So I drained out that Mercon 5 or whatever it was and refilled it with the 7590. It seems to be working fine, but just wanted to show you the location there. That it's a little tricky to find the drain plug there. I had some trouble finding it the first time, but if I didn't take the front plug out there, the fill plug, then it was coming out pretty slow. Well, finally brought out a little bit of music to play there. Getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Got the bolts undone on the tie rod end there, and the strut, and lower ball joint. So even loosened up the inner ones on the axle bearing up in there. So yeah, just listening to a little bit of Amy Mann here. She's a pretty good singer. So hopefully I can get these apart without damaging the rubber boots too much there. Try not to butcher them. Well, that's quite the axle. It come right out of the transmission, just slipped right out. Once I undid this bracket here on the intermediate bearing, two 13 millimeter nuts there, undid that and it just slid. Sounds like that bearing's a little dry. Anyway, so now I got the problem. What I'm going to try to do is I'll take this CV boot off of here and get the axle out, and then we're going to try to machine that down, because the axle is seized in the hub here. In the new wheel bearing that I've got coming, it comes with a new hub, so if we kill the hub too, it's not the end of the world. But this knuckle here, or bearing carrier, whatever you want to call it, it's like $300, so we gotta save the big casting at all costs. And I've got another axle on the way too, so I should be all set. Holding this thing while we machine it should be fun. I'll try to take some video of that if I can. Well, there, I got the axle assembly off the car there, and stuck the axle by this in the vise, and then I did what they said, cocked the axle sideways and then pounded on this with a copper hammer, which I just happened to have, and the axle pulled out. The snap ring let go, the axle pulled out. So then I proceeded to take all the balls out of the CV joint and remove the cage and centerpiece there and everything. So got her all out of there, so now we're ready to take it and try to machine that rusted in spline out of there. So hopefully that goes well. So, just wanted to document something here. I got my new axle here, and I'm going to have to set the camera down for 1 second. So, if I take my old spindle and slide it on, it only goes on about ½ an inch and stops. And it's like tight, real tight, like no clearance. And that's due to the rust in the splines. Now, if I take the axle and slide it into this new one, well, I'm going to have to set the camera down again. Don't want to damage something due to misalignment. It just slides right in there. But that's not my concern. My concern is the amount of slop it's got. Let's see if the camera will see it this way here. Yeah, look at that. You can hear it. That's a lot of slop. Up and down. So I just kind of wanted to document that. My Timken spindle there, I think the splines are oversized in it. So it's all going together and getting driven because I got no choice. Got to get to work, but hopefully it works out. I'll let you know. So as I said, whatever you do, don't forget to anti-seize the splines on the axle, and I've even done the inside of the hub from both sides all the way around, so because you don't want to go through what I just went through, having to machine all this off of it because it refused to slide out. I've been working on cars for front wheel drive 25 years. I never had to machine one out before. I almost broke the nut off one because it was so tight one time. But so anyway, just remember, anti-seize the heck out of them. Even if you don't intend on keeping the car or something, anti-seize it anyways. Do somebody else a favor, because it's a natural disaster if these things seize up. So I got the axle fed back in and got it into the strut. Now the way I accomplish this, got your axle hanging out there and you're holding the bearing carrier. I have about a 8-foot long, 1-inch square tube bar here that I put up under the car about, well, a foot or so, and slide it across the top of the control arm here, and then have somebody push down on it. And while they're holding that down, then I had to pound on the bottom of the steering knuckle here on this area to get the strut to go in, and then you can pretty well take the bar out, and also you align the lower ball joint and get it to feed in, and at that point you're pretty well ready to take that long bar out. It's not doing anything right now. Well, that's how I do it. I'm sure there's other ways, but so the inspector has arrived here. Check all the torque readings, right? You're going to check it all out, aren't you? Oh yeah. Right. Here to inspect the job. Okay, so I got it all installed there. Now it's time to fill the transmission. So I've got my Flowmaster funnel set up here, because this is necessary on these things with the 90-degree entrance into the transaxle there. So I had to slit and wrap over the 1/2-inch copper pipe there to get it to fit in the hole, but it speed things up miraculously. Just some old scrap copper. And whatever you do, don't forget to tighten up the 2 nuts on the bearing holder for the axle on the passenger side. That might cause you problems.